and welcome back to our first painting video of 2026. I've taken a little break, a little time to do some stuff. I mean, it's not like I haven't been painting. I've been painting and just finishing up projects that I've had laying around. Like I do a lot of single miniature paintings on this channel and not a lot of batch painting. So I had a lot of batch painting to do, so I was able to finish my Necron army, so I have all that done. And I was able to finish my Spearhead army for my Cities of Sigmar, which is what we're kind of talking about today. But I realized that I don't really paint terrain on this channel, and painting dudes is like most of wargaming, besides like the gaming part. But also terrain is part of wargaming, and so I'm gonna do a little series here about painting terrain, and kind of my philosophies when I go through painting it. So when I was talking about Spearhead, there's specific terrain for Spearhead, and it's like 2 walls and 2 like little ruin pieces. And I wanted some themed terrain for my Spearhead army, which is like Lord of the Rings themed. So I bought this Ruins of Middle Earth kit from Games Workshop. It's got a lot of cool pieces, and I kind of cut it up and made it into the pieces that you see before you right here. So you got 2 little ruin pieces. I got like a fallen statue, and then like another like crumbled statue with a wall here. And then I did a lot of the filling with the texture paste stuff. And then same thing here, just like walls with like other wall bits kind of glued onto it. This one had like, I cut this little top piece into a kind of barricaded door situation. So to paint the terrain, you want it to look nice, but you don't need it to look crazy good, because you don't want it to take away from your army on the table. You want it to add to the army on the table. So we'd mostly do a lot of dry brushing. So I'm going to start with this medium sea gray color. The back of my leg is cramping. I was sitting on it most of the day today. So let's get this medium sea gray out. And we got a big old makeup brush here that I cut down to be smaller. And we're just gonna load that up with paint and wipe most of it off here. And then we're just gonna go to town on these guys. So for the statue and all this like dirt stuff, we're just gonna kind of bring it up, and I'm kind of going for like a Minas Tirith look, so we'll be adding some more colors into here. I like to go for 3 colors. When you're painting most things, you want to have 3 colors, and for me, luckily, black is one of those colors, right? Because that's the deepest shadow. And then you want like the mid-tone, which is going to be this gray, and then you want the light tone, which will be like a more white gray. And I might have another color in there. I might put actual white in there, so we'll see. But it's like a quick and dirty way to get these guys covered and presentable and still fit with your army. So let's get all that. You want to make sure you get the tops of these little walls and stuff. There are a lot of channels on YouTube that paint terrain probably exclusively and like build like scale models and stuff like that. So if you want to like look into them, those are cool too. But this is kind of how I do things. I kind of did my whole Shadespire, Star Wars Shadespire, or Shatterpoint, Star Wars Shatterpoint terrain like this with just different colors. And we're gonna go into other things too, because I have a lot of terrain to paint. For Marvel Crisis Protocol. So we'll get like, this is the ruins section of the painting tutorial. So this is kind of how I paint ruins, and then we'll go into like scatter terrain, how I paint scatter terrain, how I paint vehicles, and how I paint like buildings. So It's a little bit, it's kind of the same method of dry brush, but it's just the level of dry brush that you go into and like the other details that you put in on it too that kind of make it different. And they're just bigger structures, just to show you that this technique works for not just one thing. You can do it on all sorts of stuff. If you want to, also, you can go down. We might go down here on some of these and paint them with like some browns and greens to get more of like a, it's closer to the earth kind of situation. So for right now, just gonna give our first gray dry brush base coat on these. Also, I bought the wrong primer, which is really kind of a bummer. Like this, it worked, like thank God. And thank God I tested it on this first before like spraying miniatures, like models, because I was scared that they were ruined for a little bit just because of how thick it looked like it went on. But it thinned out as it dried. So, but read the things as you buy when you buy them, because you might have messed up when you bought something and it might screw you up. So we're gonna avoid the door here because the door is wood, is not this rock stone color. As I say that, as I go over the door. I thought these were cool. I thought, you know, like the Middle Earth game is, the scale is a little bit smaller. It's not like heroic scale. It is heroic scale, but the models are definitely smaller. So I was like scared that this was gonna be like the doorways were gonna be really tiny and stuff like that. But I think since it was like a castle, like everything is kind of grand on it. So I took a gamble for sure, getting this kit, but I think it worked out pretty good in the end. So there is our base coat of the medium sea gray. So now we want to switch to a lighter color, and that's going to be this ghost gray color. Let's wipe off my brush here. So this was our first gray right here, and now we're going to go to like this color gray. It's like a whitish gray that I really like to use for stuff, and I use it in the army itself. And I wanted this to kind of reflect the army that I do. I don't know how much of this paint I have left, so hopefully I have enough. And we can stick towards the upper section of the other thing if we're afraid that we're gonna run out. But I think we're just gonna have to go for it, and then hopefully they still make this paint. So let's get it off here. We want more off this brush than we had on the last dry brush round. And then we'll start small again. So we're just gonna kind of lightly go over the top of these things. We're trying to get the stone to be like this white color, because it is like, for me, it's like that white stone of Minas Tirith that we're getting into right here. And also, while we're here, I have my general. We want to get these two because these are the steps of it, like the ground there, and we want that to be the same color, right? So I just wanted to make sure that I got to this when we did this. We could have used a smaller brush. We didn't though, but that's fine. We can go back and fix that stuff later. Then we go to this, and we just want to get those statues, those wall bits. We can stay away from the dirt if we want to. You don't have to get the dirt because it's dirt and it's probably gonna be a different color. So let's get those. Where's the one? I did this one next. Just giving these nice kind of grayscale look to them. And by doing this dry brush too, we're kind of avoiding having to use like washes and stuff like that because the lows are already maintained through just how hard we're pressing and how we go through this. So we get a little bit more on here. This little last bit here. I'm just gonna pull it through here. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now we can give it one more probably highlight, and like I said, I was gonna probably go to white itself, but just a little bit. So we're gonna do that now. Just get this stuff out of this brush here. And we can switch to this off-white from AK. And just kind of hit the tops of things with this, just to give it a little bit more of a highlight, more of a white look to it. And we want to get a lot of this off our brush here. We don't want a ton of it. And then we're just gonna kind of hit the top area here of just the stone. Just the stone tops. Same thing here, so we're just gonna just get the little high spots. Same thing here, we're just gonna kind of keep it towards the top here. This is going to add some variety to the stonework, as well as just brighten it up a little bit. Put a little bit more on there, because it is a big wall section. Same thing here. Ah! If you really wanted to, like, you could go in and like pick out certain bricks and paint them more white than other bricks. That could give you like a good kind of difference on things, like the little stonework. Okay. So now that we have that, we have the bulk of the stuff painted out of the walls. Now we can go to the ground sections. And then for that, we can get a little bit of greens and some browns. I'm gonna take this olive green color from Vallejo. I'm also gonna take some browns as well on my palette at the same time. I'm gonna take this leather brown, and then just kind of switch in between the two while dry brushing, just to give some. Also, this green might be a lot, might be a little too green, but just to give it a little stain here at the bottom, like moss is growing, or I don't know if it's picking, yeah, it's picking up on there. Just a little bit here and there. Same thing for here, but we can just get like the ground section, because there's ground on this, and we can get that colored for sure. And this one, same thing, you get get this mostly off here. And just like spackle the bottom. Just give it little stabs with your brush. And that's why like these brushes are good, because it's kind of like a, not a throwaway brush, but just like, it's a makeup brush. So you can kind of do whatever you want to do with it. And it's not the end of the world. It's not like a fancy brush or anything like that. Go on the inside here, just to give some of that more rustic look to it. I guess I'll probably do some of these on this stuff, just kind of the corners and the backs here, and the little crevices. Like that. Just splitting it up and giving it some more visual interest, and then we'll go into the brown. And we're gonna kind of do the same thing, so just kind of get in there, just get like the mud splatter, the gunk of war. Probably, and focus more towards the bottom, not so much on the top like we do with like the moss growing, because like the dirt's not gonna grow up the base or whatever. Something here, we get the dirt parts, like all this dirt, like that. Same thing here, just kind of spatter the browns in between here. You can kind of give it a little bit more on that, like the broken edges of the thing, because presumably it was shattered by something. It's not nothing that made that wall crumble, but there's that. Let's dry that off. And then while we are here, we're going to take our good brush, get some of that brown, and go back to our man on horse and just clean that up, because I don't want to forget, and I will forget if I don't do it right now. So just give him his nice little, give his horsey legs some clean stuff. There we go. Oh yeah, we could do the same on this one with the greens and the browns, but I think it's gonna be pretty fine with the basing stuff that we put on it. And then we'll brush over that later. Okay, and then lastly, we have this whole red color to go for our wooden color, our woods, because our woods for our army is this color. We are mimicking the colors brought in our army with this paint scheme here. So let's just get some of this paint. It's all dried up. And then we'll go here and we'll do the same thing, just dry brushing across the edges of it. Realizing I should have probably done this first because get in there. Then we gotta get the back as well. There's the top pieces and stuff here. The sides the best we can. While it's still wet, clean our brush off here. We can go back into those browns and greens that we had and kind of get them on the door as well. And a little, it's getting to that point where it's kind of like too wet now, but just kind of mess it up on the bottom here. And then, just for tidiness, we'll take our ghost gray color. Actually, we'll probably just take we'll take the ghost gray color. And we are going to just kind of edge highlight, clean up the area around here that we got. So we want to like just and you can see how it's like a lot brighter than it was when we dry brushed it, which is fine. You can also take your finger and just kind of go over it, and that'll help kind of feather it out. You can also thin it with a lot of water, but I'm just gonna do it this way because it is a piece of terrain. You know, it's not gonna win awards. It's not gonna do. It's just there to tell a story. And the story is the way is shut. It is shut by those who keep it, or whatever the words are. I'm just getting the regular gray that we started, the medium sea gray that we started with, and then just gonna go on the inside here and clean that up. Not that anyone's gonna be looking in here to see it, but I know it's there. And sometimes that's enough to keep you up at night. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of it for the ruins section of this terrain painting tutorial. I hope you liked it. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And, you know, let me know if you want to see anything else like this year specific or anything like that. But here's our guy. So you can see like him with his city, within his city. yeah. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.